Good morning, teacher and students. This experiment is named Alteration in Sensory Analysis, Baking and Decomposition Time in Muffins depending in cow milk, coconut milk, and oat milk. The purpose of this experiment is to analyze the variables that each type of milk will bring to the muffins. The most common milk is cow milk, but today the consumer has many alternatives such as coconut milk and oat milk, which are considered healthier options and supposedly they do not affect the result. The experiment consists of measuring the time that the muffins need to bake. Then the researchers did a sensory analysis that is measuring appearance, texture, smell, and taste to observe any modification in the muffins derived from the type of milk. And finally, the decomposition time of the muffins at room temperature. Given the complexity of the experiment, a background will be explained. First, it is important to define that alteration is the change or modification of the essence of the product because the milk used in the muffins. Then, the composition is defined like the putrefaction process of the muffins. Room temperature is in the range between 20 degrees and 25 degrees. And the sensory analysis is the process that the researchers need to know the different opinions of the consumers. It is one of the more effective processes in the food industry. First, we ask for the appearance of the muffin, then the smell, and after this, we ask for the texture in the mouth of the consumer and the taste. All this without saying which type of milk was used in the muffins. Mold is a fungus that grows in the form of multicellular filaments called hyphae. In contrast, fungi that can adopt a single-cell growth habit are called yeast. It should take around 7 to 10 days before people will be able to see significant growth on the bread. But fresh bread will mold faster than the store-bought bread containing preservatives. Once the third stage of the experiment was about the composition of the muffins, according to the World Health Organization, WHO, an open bottle of milk has to be consumed in 3 days. Also, oat milk has to be in certain temperature for not losing its consistency. If not, it becomes a gelatinized milk. And about coconut milk, a study mentioned that when the type of milk decomposes, we can notice because of the bad taste and smell. This data will be useful to determine the alteration in the third stage of the experiment.
Okay, my name is Federico Hurtado, and I'm going to explain the objectives of the project. This experiment will measure the alteration in the cooking, the smell, the appearance, the texture, and also the taste and the composition of the product based on the milk we use. The specific objectives of this experiment will determine how long the 3 types of milks last to deteriorate in the room temperature, calculate how fast or slow does the milk is going to deteriorate the product, depending on the nutritional value and bacteria of the type of milk. We will determine the acceptance of the 3 types of milk based on human sense, and we'll be calculating the cooking time for the buns depending on the type of milk that we will be used for the cooking. On our hypothesis, we'll establish how does the type of milk affect the time that it lasts until it decomposes. On our proposed solution, the experiment will be realized with 3 types of milk, which are oat milk, coconut milk, and cow milk. These varieties of milks are going to be monitored in the 3 stages of the experiment. First, with the cooking of the product. Then it will carry out a sensory analysis of the buns. And finally, it will be observed the time and order of the composition of the food. Since the basis of the experiment is the types of milk which the consumer will be cooking, there will be alterations in 3 stages of the experiment due to the nutritional value, the state of the matter, and the bacteria in the dairy.
This experiment had 3 stages. First one, baking time, which consisted in measuring the time it took the muffins to bake, depending on the type of milk that was used. Number 2, sensory analysis. This helped determine which muffin was better. Third and last one, decomposition time. This was when the muffins were left in the kitchen to decompose and to study if the type of milk used had any relation with the time it took them to start their decomposition process. The recipe that was used was a normal and average recipe. No extra ingredients were added since the main ingredient was the milk. The sensory analysis was blind tested, so the milk needed to stand up in order to carry successfully the experiment. Also, as the first stage was to measure the baking time of each muffin, no other ingredient was used to not mess up with the time. In the beginning of the experiment, the variable was the milk, but at the end, more variables were added, like temperature, humidity, environment, light, and oxygen, since they play a key role in the decomposition process. As previously mentioned, the sensory analysis was blind tested, and each muffin was judged by 4 factors: appearance, smell, taste, and texture. To carry the sensory analysis, a survey was made. The person had to taste the muffins one by one and later answer the survey. There were a total of 14 questions, 4 factors for each of the 3 muffins, which one was better, and the last one was if the person wanted to leave a comment. The population were people of any age, gender, and a stable socioeconomic level. The final sample for the survey was of 18 people. The results of the first stage, baking time, are expressed in these 4 graphics. Each of the researchers baked the muffins in different ovens, which gave different results. But at the end, it was noticeable that the muffin with cow milk took more time and the muffin with coconut milk took the least. The average time for each muffin was coconut milk 16.3 minutes, oatmeal milk 18.6 minutes, and cow milk 23.3 minutes. From this point on in the presentation, muffin number 1 would be the one with cow milk, muffin number 2 would be the one with coconut milk, and muffin number 3 would be the one with oatmeal milk. In the survey, each factor was measured in a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being bad and 5 being excellent. In each factor, there was a total of 90 points. As mentioned before, the sensory analysis was carried in a way for the person to not know the type of milk. That is why the muffins were named Muffin 1, 2, and 3. This is to obtain pure results and not have any influence over the answers. As the tables show, the muffins are relatively in the same area of points. Of course, some muffins have stronger factors than others, but in general, they had similar averages of points. It is until the question, which one was better, that a difference was shown. Muffin number 1 received 3 votes. Muffin number 2 received 8, and muffin number 3 received 7. Muffin number 2 and number 3 came very close to a tie. But at the end, it was muffin number 2, coconut milk, that was voted best muffin. And muffin number 1, cow milk, was the one with the least votes. With all these results, something is very clear. Cow milk takes more time and is less accepted, while coconut milk took the least time to bake and was voted best muffin. A benefit to this is that coconut and oatmeal milk are a healthier option to bake and have better results.
Regarding the decomposition of the muffins, they spent a month at room temperature, and it was a stage where the hypothesis is rejected. They did not decompose. They adopted a hard texture and they lost the smell, except that of coconut, which continues to have a bit of the essence. In conclusion, the consumer has the opportunity to understand the modifications of the muffins at the time of cooking and the composition. It is also possible to observe a little of the consumer's opinion due to the sensory analysis. Answering the research question, it can be affirmed that there is a relationship in the cooking time and in the opinion of the participants in all aspects. In the third part of the experiment, our hypothesis is rejected, since we did not notice an alteration in the decomposition of the muffins due to the type of milk. The 3 only changed their texture at the same time. In the first and the second part of the experiment, the hypothesis is approved. However, in the third stage, a modification was not found, so it is rejected.
So for the experiment, we also include some recommendations. The main recommendations for the experiment are to increase the sample of these so that the results are more concise, which in the present experiment could not be carried out due to the sanitary conditions that we needed to have. And another recommendation is to leave more decomposition time or move the buns from place to a warmer part, since no visual alteration was noticed in the decomposition, only in the texture of the bun. Thank you.